First, we shall do the 5 subjects of contemplation or recollection. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Jara dhammo hi jarang anatito. Vyadi dhammo hi vyading anatita. Maranam dhammo hi maranam anatita. Sappehi me piyehi manapehi nanabhavo vinabhavo. Kamma sangko hi kamma dayado. Kamma yoni kamma bantu. Kamma patisarana. Yam kammang karisami karyanam wa papakam wa tassa dayado bhavisami. Ewan amehi abhinang pacavekitabam. A very good evening to all pious yogis and volunteers of the retreats. So just now we have chanted 5 themes or the 5 subjects of recollections. The purpose of this contemplation is to help meditators to arouse samvega or sense of urgency in English. Actually, samvega is the proximate cause of a virya effort. When meditators could not put forth a strenuous effort in the practice, or anyone who couldn't put forth strenuous effort in doing wholesome deeds, they might do this contemplation. As you know, effort, virya, is the foundation of success, or in other words, is an important factor to realize mundane happiness as well as supramundane happiness. So Abhidhamma explains mental factors or cetasika in terms of 4 aspects. The first aspect is the characteristics of the mental factors. In Pali is lakkhana. The second aspect is rasa, or the function of that mental factors. The third aspect is Pachupatthana, manifestation of that mental factors. Then the fourth aspect is the proximate cause of that mental factors, Padatthana. So the characteristics of effort, or the lakkhana or virya, is striving. As explained in the previous talk, one must strive, or one must put forth a strenuous effort. In other words, taking pains in order to achieve something, or one's willing to take pain, to experience pains, or taking pains in achieving something. The function of effort is to support as well as to strengthen other mental factors which is arising with the effort. So um, um, when this effort, for example, when effort is arising with the mindfulness, when there's effort, the effort you support the progress of mindfulness or the growth of mindfulness. Um, so if with the support of virya, then um, other mental factors that are arising with virya will not be decreasing or getting uh, weaker and weaker. Um, when one has desire or chanda to, let's say, to offer dana, then if there's virya arising together with this chanda to do dana, then um, this then one will not become lazy in doing these good deeds. So this virya um, is manifested as a firmness in the mind, or the mind become very firm. It's because of firmness in the mind. The firmness is being established in the mind. Then one will not be overcome by the opposite. Opposite means, like, for example, tina mida. If one is overpowered by tina mida, then one may not be able to do meritorious deeds or any good deeds. For example, if one has desire to do dana, but effort is very weak, and then one is overpowered by tina mida, sloth and torpor, then one could be not willing to wake up in the early morning to prepare the offering for the dana and so on. Similarly, if the effort is weakening, then one could be overpowered by hindrances, for example, dinamida, or restlessness, such as thinking, wandering mind. Thinking, wandering mind that are arising during meditation will be weakening the effort. So when effort is weakening, eventually hindrance of sloth and torpor, sleepiness, drowsiness will be arising. So the fourth aspect, the proximate cause of virya, is a sense of urgency or samvega, or due to the factors that promote effort or that arouse energy. That's why sometimes we have to contemplate on these few things in order to arouse samvega or sense of urgency to do good, especially to develop insight or wisdoms in order to be free from samsara. So one might contemplate birth, or birth is suffering, old age is suffering, disease or illness is suffering, death is suffering. One also contemplates some suffering experienced by beings born in the apaya world, or the four apaya world. Then on top of that, the commentary also explains about these factors that can help to arouse the effort. One may contemplate the misery of the life, of this present life. Misery means great deal of pain or suffering, um, um, bodily and mentally. So, in this cycle of birth and death, one is born in this present life. One has to go through, a lot of misery or great deal of pain, suffering, mentally, physically, in order to um, to search for the food or to gain the requisites of the um, of living, food, shelter, clothing, um, medicine, and so on. Isn't it? A lot of people in the world have to go through a lot of miseries in order to satisfy the needs of life. Sometimes they have to work day and night, yet they still suffer from hunger, illness, and so on. Similarly, one contemplates that if one has not yet achieved attained enlightenment and still subject to the cycle of birth and death, then they will go through the same kinds of miserliness in the future, or in the next life, the next existence, and so on. So it's difficult to imagine that if one has passed away from this world, then let's say we born again. It's difficult to imagine what's happening in this world in the next 10 years, 20 years, and so on. And in fact, in, in this cycle of birth and death, in the past existences or previous life, one also had to go through a lot of miseries or great deal of pain and suffering in order to satisfy one's basic needs. So when one could do such contemplation or recollection frequently, then it could help to develop the sense of agency or samvega, or in order to put forth more and more effort into the practice. So these 5 themes of contemplation, or abhinha pachavekana, is being chanted by certain monasteries in the early morning chanting, or in certain retreats, yogis also do this chanting. The Buddha even say that this contemplation should be done often by a man or by a woman or by householders or one who has gone forth. So either one is living as a householder, or one who has gone forth will go through the same process life. So one should often reflect, I'm subject to old age, I'm not exempt from old age, I'm subject to illness, I'm not exempt from illness, I'm subject to death, I'm not exempt from death. So we have been seeing these phenomena, or these kinds of situation with our physical eyes almost every day. I believe you have seen an elderly man or woman, an old man, an old woman. You have seen those old and sick who are very helpless. Sometimes you may come across those who are sick, very sick and very poor, lacking of proper treatments, might be lying in the dirt, or in their own feces, urines. But very often we may have we might have seen this phenomenon in life, yet there's no feeling of a sense of urgency, or we never reflect that this may happen to me. But in reality, this will happen to us eventually. So, do you know Prince Siddhartha also did see this this phenomena. The Prince Siddhartha saw an elderly man very helpless. He saw a man who was very sick. He saw some people carrying on their shoulder a corpse, a person whom they loved dearly who had passed away. Then he saw the fourth phenomenon or vision. There's a recluse who was looking calm and serene, and he learned that this recluse had abandoned the household life and seeking the truth of the life. So this four vision aroused his sense of urgency to renounce the world. So he renounced the world in order to find out the truth of life. Then the fourth recollection is I must be parted and separated from everyone and everything dear and agreeable to me. The fifth contemplation, I am the owner of my karma, the heir of my karma. I have karma as my origin, karma as my relative, karma as my resource, or resource means refuge. I'll be the heir of whatever karma, good or bad, that I do. So what is the benefit of these frequent recollections? So as you know, many worldlings will be intoxicated or take pride in youth, or thinking that I'm still young, or intoxicated with their good health, taking pride is mana, or in his stage of youth, and so on. So as you know, young men, young lady who are intoxicated with their youth, may like to enjoy life, all kinds of sensual pleasure. So taking pride in youth, thinking I'm still young, they are not interested to do good, or for example to make offering of dana, to observe morality such as 5 precepts and so on. So those who are young, if they are born in a rich family, wealthy family, they may enjoy life even to the extent of violating the precept, for example, taking drugs or alcohol and so on. They think they are very young, they still have many years to live on. So intoxicated with life, they also commit evils in speech, bodily deeds, and called thoughts. So in other words, living a holy life or religious life is not interesting to them. But one who contemplate frequently, then this intoxication with youth, or intoxication with good health, intoxication with life, you be either completely abandoned or diminished. So, in other words, they never think about the old age, sickness and death. So, the the thoughts is being occupied with thoughts of enjoying life while still young, while still healthy. So that's why they might commit evils or violating the moral precepts, such as the fifth precepts, the third precept, and so on. So we need to contemplate frequently. In other words, you have to make an intentional effort to contemplate that I'm subject to old age, I'm not exempt from old age, I'm subject to illness, I'm not exempt from illness, I'm subject to death, I'm not exempt from death. Then the fourth contemplation, I must be parted and separated from everyone and everything dear and agreeable to me. So as you know, something that is dear and agreeable definitely will give rise to a lot of pleasant feeling or pleasurable feeling, feeling a lot of pleasure. Eventually, the mind is defiled by raga or lust, sensual desires. So when there's a raga, one might commit evils due to this raga. So as you know, sometimes due to raga for certain sensual objects, one may commit evils to the extent of killing or murdering someone in order to fulfill one's sensual pleasure. But when one often reflects upon this theme, then the desire and lust in regard to anyone, everything dear and agreeable, is either completely abandoned or diminished. Then the fifth reflections or contemplation, I am the owner of my karma, the heir of my karma, I have karma as my origin, or karma as my relative, karma as my resource or refuge. I'll be the heir of whatever karma, good or bad, that I do. People commit evils through speech or body or mind because they do not endow with right understanding of karma. So one who often reflect upon this theme, then this misconduct is either completely abandoned or diminished. For example, if one contemplates that the result of this evil karma will lead me to rebirth in the four apaya world again, then through this reflection or contemplation, one would avoid or restraining oneself from committing that evil. Or one contemplates that this evil karma will lead me to jails or being sentenced or being punished by the law, then one would abstain or restraining oneself from committing that evil. Then the scriptures say that one also should reflect that I'm not the only one who is subject to old age or not exempt from old age. All beings that come and go, that pass away and undergo rebirth are subject to old age, or none are exempt from old age. Similarly, one reflects that I'm not the only one who is subject to death, not exempt from death. All beings that come and go, that have passed away and undergoing rebirth are subject to death. None are exempt from death. So, in other words, by doing this reflection again and again, then the text say the path is generated. Then one would pursue this path, develops it and cultivates it. In other words, if one contemplates or reflects upon this theme, then one will be able to generate a path. In other words, one does not wish to be like other worldlings, or will be going through this process of life again and again. In other words, no one can avoid these kind of situations in life. Situation means old age, illness, death. So one who has rightly understood suffering caused by old age, illness and death, then one would put forth effort to pursue the path or to develop the path. So only by developing this path fully, then one would be able to abandon fetters or samyojana completely. One would be able to uproot all the anusaya or underlying tendency completely. So as long as we have not attained enlightenment, we have mental defilements that are lying dormant in our mind. So these defilements that are lying dormant in the mind is known as anusaya kilesa in Pali. So this Pali term anusaya kilesa is also translated as potential to do evil. So Abhidhamma mentioned 7 kinds of anusaya kilesa, but in fact every defilement is lying dormant in the mind. So these are 7 defilements they are lying dormant in the mind. The first one is sensual lust or kama raga or anusaya. The second is bhava raga or attachment to existence. Third is patigha or patigha anusaya. Patigha means aversion. The fourth is mana anusaya, or mana means conceit. Then the fifth is ditthi anusaya, or wrong view. Number 6 is vichikicha anusaya. Vichikicha means doubt. Number 7 is avijja anusaya, or avijja means ignorance. So only by developing the path fully, then one is able to uproot anusaya kilesa. So how do you know the way to develop this path? If you wish to develop this path, in fact this path is known as Noble Eightfold Path. If you wish to develop the Noble Eightfold Path, then you need to practice the 4 foundation of mindfulness. So during the practice mindfulness meditation, meditators do not have a single object of mindfulness. Mindfulness meditators have to mindful of whatever object or phenomenon that's arising at that present moment. Um, but when mindfulness is not yet well developed, meditators could not mindful precisely an object that's arising at that present moment. So when the mindfulness is not well developed, the mind, um, it seems that the mind is perceiving two, three objects or phenomena at the same time. Sometimes meditators do not know their own state of mind, do not know that the mind is thinking or has been wandering away from the object for quite some time. So meditators have to train the mind to live at this present moment or to stay at the present moment. But it's also quite difficult to live at the present moment as the mind already um, acquired the habit of living in the past or fantasizing the future. So meditators have to begin the practice mindfulness with certain objects. For example, in this meditation, we choose to begin the practice mindfulness by being mindful of four material elements. But the four material elements do not manifest clearly at the same moment. At each moment, only one of the four material elements will be manifested clearly or distinctly. So in this meditation, for example, during sitting meditation, meditators might be able to perceive the movement of abdomens as a beginning object or to help the meditators to begin the sitting meditation. If this object, movement of abdomens, is not clearly perceived or there's no movements at all, the meditators can take the alternative. There's to mindful of sitting postures and two clear touching points. So when meditators are mindful of this basic object of sitting meditation, if there's another stronger body object arising, then they should mindful of the other stronger bodily object. Whenever meditators are mindful of a bodily object, if there's a mental state arising, for example thinking, wandering, or drowsiness, then meditators should be mindful of that mental state as soon as possible. Be mindful of whatever mental state that's arising at that present moment is very important. Meditation is mental training or mental culture. That's why we emphasize the importance of mindful of mental states. If mindfulness meditators could not mindful of their mental states, then they could not make better progress. So meditators could realize their progress when they are able to note their state of mind faster and faster. Then it's important to increase the mental effort gradually during retreats. For example, meditators need to slow down the various process of movements and some actions gradually. The reason of slowing down is to help meditators to calm down the mind, and the most important is to develop mindfulness in more and more details. So meditators may make use of mental noting or labeling in order to develop momentum of mindfulness. So when meditators are mindful of certain processor movements, for example, the movements of bowing down, the meditators have to perceive the movements and know it as bowing, perceive another movements and note bowing, and so on. So it is important to perceive the movements well and know it. Then similarly, one should contemplate that um, I'm not the only one who has to encounter that I must be parted and separated from everyone, everything dear and agreeable to me, beings, uh, beings living in this samsara, come and go, um, um, pass away and taking rebirth. They also you are not exempted from parting or separating from everything, everyone that's dear and agreeable to them. One also reflect that I'm not the only one who is the owner of one's karma, the heir of one's karma, who has karma as one's origin, or karma as one's relative, karma as one's resource, who will be the heir of whatever karma, good or bad, that one does. All beings, you also will be the owners of their karma. So in those beings living in this samsara, come and go, means pass away, taking birth in another world, undergo rebirth, are owners of their karma, heirs of their karma, all have karma as their origin, karma as their relative, karma as their resource or refuge. All will be heirs of whatever karma, good or bad, that they do. So, one who contemplates the ownership of karma will also take responsibility of one's actions. In other words, one will become mindful or careful of one's actions or karma. So during the practice of mindfulness meditation, meditators also have to realize the relationship between their mind and their actions, as well as various processes of movements. So the foundation of the progress is also to realize the cause and effect, the relationship between the mind and the bodily action of movements, or the relationship between one physical phenomenon and the mind. But if the mindfulness is not sharp and concentration is deep enough, not yet deep enough, then it's difficult to perceive the intention of doing something, or intention arising before a process of movements. So meditators need to put forth effort to develop moment-to-moment mindfulness. In other words, the cause of constant and continuous, the cause of a constant and continuous mindfulness is a cause. Deep concentration is the effect or the results. Strenuous effort or virya is the cause. Constant and continuous mindfulness is the result or the effect. So that's why we always encourage meditators to increase the mental effort gradually. So when meditators could increase the mental effort gradually, then they could focus their attention at that present moment to an object better and better. In other words, at the beginning of the practice, or at the beginning of retreats, meditators could not pay full attention or full awareness to one object at each moment. It is not possible to force one's mind to concentrate deeply into the object or to pay full attention to one object. So meditators need to be patient, in other words, increase the mental effort gradually and be able to pay attention better and better to whatever object that's arising at that present moment. Whenever the mind has a wander to another clear object or more distinct object, the meditators have to follow the mind and note the other clearer or more distinct object. But meditators need to keep up the effort so that the mind will not wandering to outside. Outside means to the external sense object, especially the sound, the noise. It's because during the practice of mindfulness meditation, meditators need to gain direct experience or direct experiential knowledge. So in other words, by mindful of one's own mental states and physical phenomena, one can gain direct experience or direct experiential knowledge eventually. So in other words, the true nature of mental and physical phenomena is not clearly realized as long as the mindfulness is not sharp and concentration is not deep enough. So the meditators have to make progress in mindfulness. In other words, the mindfulness is getting sharper, stronger, and so on. So when the mindfulness, the power of mindfulness is strengthened with a deep concentration, the meditators could perceive or could realize the true nature or the characteristics of mental and physical phenomena clearly. So in order to arouse effort in this spiritual training of mindfulness meditation, meditators may contemplate on these 5 themes or these 5 subjects of recollection once a day, for example in the early morning. As long as the practice is not matured, we may need to do some contemplation or even to practice protective meditation in order to arouse the effort to sustain the practice. So one must contemplate on these 5 themes seriously. If one did not contemplate these 5 themes with much awareness, or did not contemplate with much attention, merely chanting the words, you will not give rise the good effects. So in fact, we have to contemplate with mindfulness. It means, in other words, giving full attention to the contemplation. So I wish every meditators will be benefited by this contemplation on 5 themes, so that they would arouse stronger and stronger effort to pursue the path. To pursue the path means to develop the Noble Eightfold Path by the practice of Satipatthana meditation, so that you could abandon all the samyojana factors, uprooting all anusaya kilesa, and attain ultimate purity of mind.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.